Point two. Hearts, then minds. Hearts, then minds. It is critical. It is crucial. It is vital. I don't know other words to use, but it's all of those also. To make an emotional connection with your consumer before you make an intellectual connection. And I see everybody in the audience going, oh, yeah, that makes sense, that makes sense. But none of us do it. We talk about how many cubic feet of garbage we moved. We talk about how many slips at the marina at Black Point we have. We talk about how many meals we provide. We talk about how many kids we save. Do you remember when you were kids and they collected money for UNICEF? You used to go around Halloween trick-or-treating and you get it. Did you ever read the side of the box? 1 nickel could provide milk for a village of 2,000. Do you remember that? And never, not one of us ever said, excuse me. You know, at farm stores, it's $1.50. I don't understand this. Because the numbers don't matter. You hear about numbers. You hear about the damage. You know, you hear about the damage, like I talked about, the damage we had in Andrew was astounding. Then the damage they have in Mississippi is even more astounding. Does it matter? You can't compare pain. It's the difference between a disaster and a tragedy, right? A tragedy is when something happens to you. A disaster is when it happens to me. The numbers don't matter. What matters is the emotional response. And so if we're doing all these things, how do we get people to care about it here? Stop talking about how many dollars. How about, I love this one. This was the big one we had in the GOB, millage rates. Can I ask you, since you guys work for the county, do any of y'all know what a millage rate is? You do? Oh, damn. Because my taxes keep going up because I get more millage. And I gotta tell you, I've looked in my refrigerator, I've looked in the ground, I have never seen a mill or a millage. I don't know anyone named Miller. I don't get it. But that's what we talk about. Dade County taxes have a lower millage rate than Miami taxes. But I don't know what a millage rate is. I like the word less since I live in the county, but have I made my point? I think I have. But I'll give you an example. I was giving one of these talks a while ago, actually at MIT in Boston. And when I came back from Boston, my wife had to pick me up at the airport because we hadn't yet decided what kind of car I could lease. We is a misnomer there, of course, but because when the lease on my old car expired, my wife asked me if I was going to get another convertible. And I said that, yeah, I think so. I had 9. Luckily for me, I had an old one in high school, and I've always had convertibles since. And she said to me, well, you know, I don't think that's such a good idea because, you know, convertibles aren't safe, and the kids are getting bigger. Which, if you think about it, okay, convertibles probably aren't safe. I don't think canvas is as good if you flip a car, although it's not like we have mountains here that you're going to roll off of. But how about this one? Convertibles are not safe, and the kids are getting bigger. So when they were smaller, we didn't care? I mean, I know we paid a lot of money in braces, and, you know, we have to get a tutor, and now music lessons, but... Or is it now, you know what? They're kind of cute. We like them. We're getting used to them. Or maybe it's that they're almost out of the house. We don't want more. Whatever it is, it didn't really make any sense on an intellectual level. But on an emotional level, it was Mama Bear, who's not here, is worried about the baby bears, and Papa Bear is, of course, sitting on the couch feeding them peanuts and beer, right? Because Papa Bear doesn't care. So we hadn't yet decided on what kind of car I could get. So my wife had to pick me up at the airport. So here we are driving back on Lejeune Road, just right across the street from Ocean Bank, by the way. And there's a billboard on the other side of the road, and there's a car on it, a convertible, a beautiful convertible with the top down on a beach. And the headline says, "Tan safely." And so I say to my wife, who was driving, "Hey, sweetie, what if I get one of those?" And she drives, she goes, "Oh, that's fine, they're safe." Over. Does anybody know what kind of convertible it was? A Volvo convertible, exactly right. What does my wife know about Volvos or cars in general? Zip. And by the way, she's much smarter than I am. She has many more degrees, postgraduate degrees, all of that. She doesn't know what car. All she knows is where the key goes and where the gas goes. That's pretty much it. My wife hates cars. But she knew Volvos were safe. Why? Huh? The ad campaign, because Volvo had been telling us that they're safe. We don't know if they're safe or not. By the way, a week or two later in the Wall Street Journal, there was an article from the NHSTA, the National Highway Safety Transit, Joan Claybrook's organization. The top 50 safest cars in America. How many Volvos on the list? Just take a guess. 2, 3. There was actually one. It was number 18. It was not the convertible, it was the station wagon. Number 1 was a Suburban. It was, by the way, it was the safest cars to, if you get in an accident, not the safest cars to avoid an accident, or not to cause an accident when you're on your cell phone in your SUV going through the four-way stop. It was the safest car if you get in an accident. They didn't have Hummers then, but it was a Suburban, a Tahoe, and clearly the more metal you have around you, the better off you are, which means we should all drive either dumpsters or school buses because we'd have metal. But Volvo has been selling safety. So for my wife, the kids would be safe in a Volvo. Now, are we all adults here? Are there any children? No, okay. When I took the car home, I test drove it and I was driving it around, and you know, everybody has friends, the guys who think they know about cars, and they all come around and look at it and say stuff like, does it have a Hemi? Which, by the way, is great marketing. Does anyone know what a Hemi is? But if you drive one of those Chryslers, people ask you, I'd say I'd buy one, I get 2. Right? I got the one with 2 Hemis. People have no idea what they are. So all these guys come around and they're looking at the car, and someone says, wow, I didn't know Volvo made a convertible, and it was turbocharged. Does anyone know what that means? I didn't know Volvo made a turbocharged convertible. Make an emotional connection before you make an intellectual connection. Stop talking about how many cubic yards of garbage you pick up and talk about the benefits of a beautiful front stoop, the health benefits. Stop talking about how many animals per day, per minute, and talk about saving lives, the joy of it, how important it is. Look for the emotional connections.